Hello, and welcome to the Elevate Your Soul podcast. Today, I have a special guest that I'm interviewing, and I am going to talk to her all about sex. So, this episode will be quite different, but really fun and really interesting. So, I'm going to bring on Nikki Rhodes to the show. She is co-founder of New Zealand Spirit Festival, mom of three, a sex coach, and a passionate advocate for authentic relating and relationships. You can check out some of the amazing work she does on her Instagram page, which is _ Nikki, Nikki, Rhodes, RHODES _ That's on Instagram, or you can check out her Facebook page for New Zealand Spirit Festival. I hope you guys enjoy today's episode. Feel free to ask any questions afterwards if you want to know a bit more or if you just found anything really interesting. Please don't hesitate to contact me or Nikki and talk to us about what you think about the episode or something you want to know a bit more of, or even just talking about your own experience and wanting to connect with someone and talk to someone about your sexuality and your sexual experiences. Feel free to reach out. So I am going to say no more, and we're going to dive straight into the episode with Nikki. Hello, Nikki. Welcome to the Elevate Your Soul podcast.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm super good. Super good to be chatting to you.
I'm so excited to have you on my podcast finally.
I know, right? This is it's been a long time coming. We're here.
Yeah. All right. So first question of the day, I just want to ask you, what elevates your soul?
Oh, what elevates my soul? Great question, and big one to open up, because I feel blessed in a way, because I literally feel like there are so many things I could say about that. It feels like I've got a lot of things that really do it for me, you know.
Yeah.
and I'd say one of the key ones is honesty and communication. This here is sort of like a theme throughout my life, a theme throughout anything I've ever attempted or sort of began or kicked off, is like a deep commitment to fulfilling what's like honest to me or what's true for me.
Yeah.
Feeling into like my intuitive center and following it. And that could have looked like being in a school play as a kid and pushing through the fear and loving it and having that elevation of soul once I finished it, or now working in this arena of bringing honesty and communication and truth and the stuff that's in the shadows around sexuality into the light, into communication, into the mainstream. So yeah, communication in all ways elevates my soul.
I love that so much. That's such a good answer. All right. So today's topic is going to be all around sex, which is so great because we're making it not taboo. And first of all, I want to dive in female orgasms with you. If you can tell us a bit about the different types of orgasms that a female can have. As well, I have a lot of people who are listening to my podcast who want to know, what exactly does a female orgasm feel like for a female? Because I do have, like, there's a lot of people who don't know if they're actually having an orgasm or not. Like, that sensitivity rises and they're not sure if they've actually come or not. And then also a lot of people are wondering about multiple orgasms and how to unlock that root chakra, and if multiple orgasms is actually a thing. Can it actually happen? And how do you get there?
Whoa.
Sorry, that was a lot.
go. Okay, well, I'm just going to say yay, because you're opening the whole podcast, not with like, let's slowly enter the world of sexuality and make sure no one's offended, or like, let's begin with the male orgasm. Let's look at the most obvious, like, what is ejaculation? Like, no, we're going straight to woman. And this is a really important piece for me, something that I teach. I just got back last week from teaching. 300 men attended each of my workshops at a festival in New Zealand called Female Sexuality for Men, and this is exactly what we covered. Women, orgasming, coming, what does it feel like? We dived into so many different topics, including anal orgasms, which I'd love to share with you in this hour as well. And so, yay, thanks for just diving straight into a topic that, you know, not so long ago was deeply taboo. In fact, like, there's still records like common doctors only, GPs, general practitioners, only like 10-20 years ago, there are still deny the existence of the female orgasm, or still say there's not enough evidence to support its actual truth. And it kind of makes me laugh as a student of traditional tantra. Every year, me and my beloved go to India and study traditional Hindu Tantra with a really sort of clean cow lineage. And, you know, the esoteric theorists there and the ideologies there, no, orgasms have definitely been acknowledged by cultures like the one we're studying for many, many years. So it's just such a joke to me when they're denied. But your answer, an answer to your question about how many orgasms there are and all of this, I'd like to begin with speaking about the energetic orgasm, because so much of life now is like, what can I touch? What do I know to be true? What do I actually feel? What is the standard? And this is a very sort of like a harsh way of looking at things, a really goal-oriented way of looking at things. And the female sexual energy is in itself limitless. Okay, this is my belief. In itself, it's sort of undefinable. That is the feminine mystique. That is the mystery that sort of surrounds that like creative Shakti energy that can take us in so many different ways. Like, I know if I'm having sex and I'm like, oh God, I want to have an orgasm, and I'm thinking about the orgasm, like sometimes I can get there, but I'm measuring it. It's like, was it as good as I thought? Did my body do what I wanted? And it's those ones that come from within, those ones that completely surprise us, that are like deeply, truly an expression of that Shakti, that yin energy. Tuning in and increasing genital consciousness, whether you're in a woman's body, whether you're in a man's body, however you identify, really getting aware of like your subtle energy movements is like a great place to start. I know as soon as when I work with my beloved on like tantric massage or eye gazing or sitting in like a yab-yam position, me kind of on his like on his lap, sort of heart to heart in a seated position, and I can just feel the currents moving between us and the subtleties. This here is deeply orgasmic. So there's that energy orgasm that sort of rushes through the body and kind of shakes your spine, okay? And I'm going to count that as the first of the female orgasms that I talk about. And the clitoris can feel sometimes like an explosive orgasm. It's the one that's compared the most to the male orgasm, because after it can be more sensitive. Some women feel like once they're done one, it's harder to multiple orgasm with a clitoral orgasm. But a myth, can I just speak to a myth about the clitoris right now?
Go for it, of course.
There is a myth that it's just this little kind of head that sits at the top of the at the top of the vagina, if I can say that, and that's it. And it's really so much more than that. It's basically got these two long legs that go all the way down the sides of the labia, and they are deeply important for stimulation and for awakening during sexual play.
Yes.
And whenever I do my workshop, I speak to the men about these areas, love them up. You're going to feel them enlarging. You're going to feel them become more turned on by the way they engorge like the male penis.
Yeah.
And it's a super beautiful way to look at it. Yeah. So just not straight for the top, right? Work your way up.
Yeah.
Okay, another orgasm, a cervical orgasm, right up deep inside the woman's cervix is a place of, oh man, that's a place of deep release. And a cervical orgasm feels like it's kind of coming from the inner of your core. You asked me to kind of explain what it feels like. Yeah, I'd love to speak to that, because for me, it's like a purging process, often an orgasm of that depth and that intensity.
Yeah.
The cervix is sort of like, well, it's the neck of the womb, right? It's sort of like the entrance to our womb.
Yeah.
And when it is stimulated, when it is aroused, when it is releasing, it's got the capability, I would say, and influenced by my teachings in Tantra, it's got this ability to really release build-up, release unwanted energies, release anything you're holding on to, right?
Yeah.
That you don't need to be. And so these orgasms, a lot of them have the similar feature that they that they are experienced like a pulsation as the body kind of moves, and the cells kind of reverberate with one another, and kind of like an oceanic pulsing. It's like, that's the way I would describe it. And they can last for minutes, especially if you're really, really aware of the subtlety of smaller movements through you.
Yeah.
And subtly aware also of the beauty of a peak, that with a peak comes the build up and comes the flow afterwards. And so wanting depth in your sexuality, especially I would say as a woman in like a woman's body, a female in a woman's body, is like feeling into the expression of sexuality, the expression of pleasure in all its forms, including the subtle.
Yes.
And if I'm just like really like focused in the daytime and getting my shit done and busy, and I feel like when it comes to sex, I'm kind of like a bit impatient, a little bit like, and I'm like, oh, whoops, there we go. My feminine essence, actually, I'm going to change that. My kind of yin essence, my Shakti essence is just, she's just being pushed to the back of the house, and she's locked in a cupboard. And my like inner kind of like, do it, work harder, achieve. That energy is just like really, really predominant, and that energy just needs to like chill out for a bit and open the door and let my softer Shakti energy out. And so sex for me is really meditative. It brings me out of that really do go get world and back into my essence of softness and slowing down,
and into your body, right,
like into what's happening now. The entrance to the pussy, to the yoni, to the vagina. I use yoni, a Sanskrit word meaning sacred space. I love that. So many terms that we use with sex. Like, he's a dick, but I've got a dick, and like, I don't know. It's kind of like language is important, and so yoni and lingam, wand of light. I don't know. It sounds kind of Star Wars and epic. But the entrance there, that's a super beautiful way. If you can call in, if you can commit to really soft, rhythmical penetration, that's like quite light, not deep penetration, quite shallow penetration, and really work the outside, that there can be a beautiful place where a woman can experience kind of like a magnetic longing. So it's almost like deep within her, the cervix has like a magnet on the end, and the lips of the yoni are literally massaging and like pulling him in, and that can be a beautiful place to reach a climax of a sort. Do I have time to speak to one more orgasm? All right. I'd love to speak to anal orgasms, actually. from a woman's point of view, because I feel like this isn't spoken enough about in the literature. I feel like this is shamed a lot. We've got a lot of shame around anal sex, a lot of shame about our butts, all this stuff, and
especially the inside of our butts.
The outside. Yeah, good point, girl. The outside, as long as it's like looks a certain way, it's all good. But what's in it and what's around it, and I think that speaks to society on a wider level. To be honest, we're all very materialistic focused. We're all very anally retentive in a way about certain things and property and what's mine and what's hers and what's his. And we're all kind of shamed about literally the shit that goes on within us, because there's not men's circles or women's circles or these big groups that are kind of like deeply entrenched in our culture that help us to express and to support each other. It's more like, give me a call if you need anything, and everyone goes back off to their little individual boxes. And I think that disconnect in society is like really mirrored in how we treat our body, especially like our anus. And I know for me that I've never experienced release and connection really to the divine like I have through really, really beautiful anal sex. And it happens, it's like a process as well. And just like the yoni, if it's forced, or if there's any kind of alternative agenda, or she will close, right? And I feel like as well, if I'm feeling like I'm rushed, or I don't feel right, or I feel a judgment or something like that, I will close as well, and the anus will do that even stronger. That's why so many of us have tried it, but it was too hard, or never again. And so it acts as this beautiful gateway of like protection. It's our root chakra, it's our grounding, it's our connection to the earth. And that's big for a human. Like, that's all we have. So to open that and to surrender that and let someone see that, it's massive. And so allowing a man, a finger, a woman, whatever you want to allow into you, requires trust, requires breath, requires surrender, and requires good coconut oil and or something to help it, and lots of vulnerability. And it's an extremely beautiful place to see a woman. It's just an extremely beautiful place to see your man if you're a woman. Like, I'm speaking now to my heterosexual experience, because that is that's like my truth. That's where I live. And to have a man openly say, like, you receive me all the time, I'd love to experience being received, is like the sign for me of like a true awakening, integrating, activating man, right? Who's like, I will give, and I also want to learn how to take, how to receive, how to be soft, how to be vulnerable. And that's a beautiful place to play, no matter the dynamic, like the gender dynamic of your relationship, regardless. It's just such a beautiful way. And for me, seeing these like traditionally like straight guys really step into these spaces, I don't know, super encouraging for me as a woman. And so if the anal orgasm, something, if it's done so softly, so rhythmically, really in a safe environment, it's like a DMT release. So the pineal gland, kind of behind our third eye in our forehead, releases DMT, a native substance that's also the activating substance in things like ayahuasca, 5-MeO DMT, LSD, magic mushrooms, naturally. And when we orgasm deeply, there's a connection there. Studies have shown that there's a release of DMT through the third eye.
I've definitely felt that before.
Right?
Yeah. And you can literally feel it in between your eyebrows.
You can literally feel it. It feels like the top of my head is opening up.
Yes.
And it reminds me of like my energetic body. that I am not just an earth suit walking around, that I am connected to something greater. We just don't really know what yet. We don't know the specifics of, and so a huge release, often followed by beautiful soft tears or laughter or smiles or intense love. Yes. Intense openness in the heart. And so really medicinal for me in that way, in a society that's like, could you just keep your emotions to yourself? And look good, you know. It's like a really beautiful place. And I know my partner really loves that openness. He can really feel how much more connected I become to him and to the world around me after it. So it's a beautiful gift.
Wow. All right. Question on male orgasms. So I have heard before that is there a difference between coming and just a man ejaculating and then having an orgasm, like a full body experience orgasm? Are those two different? And how does a man know which one he's having, if he's just ejaculating or if he's having a full body orgasm? And how can he get there as well? So if he wants a full body orgasm, how does he get there?
Amazing. I love it how it's following our discussion on women, because how he gets there is like how she gets there.
Yeah.
It's oh, and by the way, sorry, I didn't answer. Yes, multiple orgasms are 100% possible. And they're going to look like something different
for the male as well, or just for the female?
Definitely a male energetic orgasm is possible. And in terms of like an orgasm where I'm going to say an ejaculation and I'm going to say an orgasm, because they are two very different things. And often they happen coincidentally, but they are two different things. And I love that. I love it when I speak to men about this, when I work with men with this, because they go, well, my life literally just opened up. You know, you just give me permission to look into my sexuality. I'm not as 2D as I felt. I'm more connected to women than I thought. We have more in common. It's a really beautiful realization. So speaking to multiple orgasms, because I didn't talk about that, is like for women, absolutely possible. Also, how do I know I'm having one? Tune in to your body and receive. Let her speak to you. Mine change every year. Mine change depending on the contraception I'm using. Mine change depending on the partner. Mine change depending on, and I love that. I find the diversity within myself an extreme turn on. I can live with this body for 100 and whatever years, because she's going to keep changing. I'd like to speak to that. So for men, moving to men now, so an orgasm is kind of like, I did this workshop literally a week ago, and this man said to me, I've practiced cum fasting for so many years, and he was this beautiful like 60, 70-year-old man, and he had like 20 lovers, and he's like, they just love me, I love them, I carry this prana, this chi around in my body, this vitality, because I'm not emptying it out. I've achieved things I never thought possible. Like, he was just the most amazing poster guy for this for ejaculation control. And so when we're looking at orgasm and we're looking at ejaculation, the key differences there is in whether or not the man releases. Okay. So again, according to tantric theory and many other cultures as well, speak of the importance of men holding their seed, of men not always letting it out, because of kidney health in traditional Chinese medicine. There's a big connection there to like your prana, your chi, your life force energy, and whether or not you're maintaining that for yourself and putting that towards all aspects of your life, like professional, your self-care, all of that, as well as into a woman. There's things like increased resentment that builds up subconsciously, some believe, with a man who's constantly coming in a woman and she's not giving him a baby. Now look, most of us, like, I have millions of children. I'm literally so grateful he's not giving me a baby. So I'm not saying that, but like on a a subconscious level. Biologically, if a man is producing this constantly, and there's no offspring there, even on an energetic level, there's something that his body is wondering what's up there. And also just to practice what it feels like moving that very sexual, very erotic energy kind of up through his body and into his heart space. In the Anahata chakra, lifting it up and seeing if he can tune into kind of fueling or fulfilling himself rather than giving it out. Because I speak to a lot of men and work with a lot of men who feel huge expectation, who feel a lot of depletion, who feel a lot of numbness where they really didn't used to. And by holding that power, giving them back their sovereignty in that, and still being super sexually active men, like, you know, giving it to whoever they want to give it to all the time, but just not ending in that burst. Gives sex this lack. It's like no longer goal-oriented pursuit.
Yes, so important.
It's literally just like, I'm gonna put my penis in you right now, and I'm just gonna feel it. And then I'm going to build, and it's going to be hard and strong, and then we're going to pull back, and then we're going to breathe together, and then you're going to roll on me. And then, you know, this is what sex can look like. And then you're going to be on me for a while, and then we're going to be doing this, and then we're going to breathe, and then we're going to have a bath. And then it's going to like rise again, and we're going to just give each other massages, but hardly touch each other. It's just going to be with our body. Like it just widens the sexual experience, something chronic. And especially I'm speaking to a lot of people in their 30s, their 40s. They've done the meet up at a bar, have sex, meet up at a bar. They've done all this partying, this fast food sex culture has drained them. And they're looking for something a bit different. They're looking to insert some spirituality into this deeply sacred practice because they know it exists.
Exactly. Yeah.
So an orgasm for a man that doesn't ejaculate or doesn't result in ejaculation is kind of like that high you get from meditation. You know, when you feel bliss.
Yes. Without feeling drained, right?
What was that?
Without feeling drained.
That is it, 100%.
Exactly.
It is that like, oh my God, that like that warmth, that rush, and it's subtle. Like these need to be men who are like who welcome their feelings. Yeah. Who ride with their sensations, their bodily sensations.
Self-aware.
Exactly. And also with a supportive partner. The woman or man that he is with can't be chasing their orgasm either, because I know that I speak to a lot of women that say to me, but he didn't want to come in me, that says something about me. And I'm like, no. you need to voice that if that's the case for you. You need to speak that truth. And he needs to be like, look, because as women and as men, we know how to make a man orgasm, right? we learn, we can read their bodies, and we know how to make it happen. And it's a place of deep honor if he's going to be with you, express his desire to hold his seed this time, because he's going to have these deep biological urges, whether he's done it once or 100 times, that are going to be hard to overcome as it is. And so supporting him and being with him, and then when he's ready to stop, allowing that and breathing with him and knowing it's not some sort of weird personal thing on you, that he's really just trying to experience this other dimension of orgasm. Yeah. And you know, blue balls, it's like a thing, it builds up, and there are many beautiful qigong practices that you can search looking into. There's very many, often in indigenous culture, there's these, in many indigenous cultures, and indigenous wisdom holds a lot of techniques. I know I ran a workshop with a beautiful Māori man who was able to give the men some techniques which involved sort of holding their hands in a fist, and sort of hitting the top, just above their penis, in that kind of lower pelvic area, just sort of pressing into that area to sort of lift the energy and take it away from like that desire just to let it go. And he said it sort of passed down through his family for men who wanted to just practice this, and even linking some of the practices within, or some of the movements within the haka to this display of kind of male potency. from holding their seed. Like, I was so fascinated by this, the Maori haka. Like, this was really amazing. So,
so are you saying, are you recommending that they don't ejaculate all the time, that they actually hold in their cum? Are you saying that that's a good thing?
It's going to depend so much on the man, how old he is, what he's after at this stage in his life, what he's used to, what worked for him, what he likes, what he wants. And I think that is step one.
Okay.
So, like, I'm speaking predominantly to the men that I work with who come to me going, I want more. And more for me, now that I'm in my 30s, 40s, 50s, does not look like a new woman every night. In fact, that just seems really, really freaking a lot of work. I want to go deep with someone, and I want to feel my sexual potential. I want to dive to the depths of what I'm capable of. I want to reach the heights. I want to bring in some spirituality. These Hindu cultures, these Eastern cultures that have been really interested in this stuff far longer, or have this like running tradition, these books, these texts. I want to look into these. And so what I'm saying to that is not like, every man, don't come. Because if you're in it and you're loving it and you want to, and you go, oh no, I better not, and you kind of hold back, you're going to do damage. Like, you need to be clear on your desires and start really listening and flowing with that. I'm saying it's a practice that's not talked about in my culture, in Western cultures that I've seen, and that I think is absolutely worth looking into, starting to read about.
They can always trial it out as well and see how it feels in their body, and see, you know, what their body feels like afterwards, if they've, you know, just had the orgasm without the ejaculation, seeing what that feels like, and just trialing things out.
That is exactly it. And knowing that it's not going to give you the high that sex does immediately. Right? You're not going to be like, oh, that was amazing, and the next day have all this energy. Or that might happen for you, and then kind of day 2 or 3, depending how long you do your cum fast for, it could be like, I need to cum this minute. And you may need to reach out for support. You may want to look at some of these techniques, or reach out to someone like myself, or someone who works with men in this way, and speak through what's going on for you. But I can tell you what, when you're hungry and you just like eat and shove it and like sort of push the feeling down. And then you're hungry again and you eat more and you push the feeling down. Sex can do the same thing for us. It can be a go-to to avoid the feeling. And I tell you what, if you're used to ejaculating regularly and you decide to experience orgasm, or aim to experience orgasm without ejaculation, or come back to feeling in sex rather than goal-oriented, frictionated sex, what's going to come up for you is that stuff that you've been pushing down. So you're going to get a whole lot of insight into yourself as well, and you've got to be ready for that. Which it can come up for men like, fuck, I'm not worth it. Oh God, that boost I got really lifted my serotonin. It really lifted my feel-good hormones. And without that, oh my God, I rely on sex to feel that. Like, it can be a really interesting process. And so it's cool if you've got support, or it's cool if you've got a willingness to feel that, to know it's not everything. It's another story. It's another story that you've created. Whole new world.
I love that. And I want to ask about how you hear a lot in the spiritual community these days that sexual energy and creativity are linked. And you can tell us a bit about how that is, or why that is.
Good question.
How they go hand in hand.
I mean, if you think about it, sexual energy is that which creates. Without that spark, that attraction, that drive, things don't happen.
We wouldn't be here.
we literally wouldn't be here. I mean, if we look at the ancient Greek cosmology, that's really where my studies started. I was a lecturer at the University of Auckland, teaching at the med school. And I taught a course in ancient medicine. So the Greek and Roman conceptions of health and healing and sexuality and abortion and contraception and birth, all in the ancient world.
Yeah.
And so I will often look back to my teachings there, and I like how I have this basis, how I have this education in both the origins of Western sexual thought in some ways, and also the origins of, well, an aspect of, I would say, Eastern sexual thought with my study in Tantra and traditional Tantra. And the ancient Greeks, if I flick to that side for the moment, the ancient Greeks had this belief that at the beginning of the world, at the origin of everything, there was nothing, right? Yeah. Except chaos. And chaos, instead of meaning mess, it just meant chasm. It meant giant hole, space, nothing.
Right.
And from this space of nothing came eros. And eros is where we get our word erotic from. Oh. And eros is the energy. They said without that energy, nothing would connect. And if nothing would connect, then nothing would be made.
Yes.
And so sexual energy is absolutely responsible for creating new life.
Yeah.
I've seen it, like, if I can just bring something a little personal into the speech from my life. My partner and I, we knew from kind of the moment we met that we had an extraordinary attraction and an extraordinary creative power together. That there was something that happened that when our energies combined, shit would move, shit would happen. Yeah. And we channeled that into sort of creating these large gatherings, these festivals. Yeah. And I thank modern contraception, because if it wasn't for that, I think literally we would have had enough children to fill a festival. Yeah. So I think that creative energy and sexual energy are absolutely combined in that they can either create being or they can create experience.
Right.
Or both.
Right. Both. Okay, yeah, that's really important for people who are, creativity is so important for us humans. Like, I think there's not creative people and not creative people. I think every single person is creative, and they need to find a way to express that and express their creativity. And we're all creative and we're all interested in completely different things, but it's so important and so healing for the soul to be creative and express that. So
yeah. You were so right, and you just made me think there for a second that I reckon that sexual energy is not like the result of creative energy, or creative energy is right. Not the result of sexual. I think that they're absolutely interchangeable.
Yes.
I have women coming to me being like, okay, you know what? I have no desire. Yeah. I have no desire. I'm married. He's the best man in the world. I literally, I just want to sleep. I can't get, I do the thing and then I sleep, right? It's like a quick thing and then good night. Yeah. I've got kids. I'm tired. I said, like, do you paint? She paints. Gosh, I barely get the dishes done. I said, do you dance? Oh my God, never, no. And all these things that I watch in my children so alive, right. They're connecting to their creative energy, their expression. Yeah. As we get older, often we shut that down. Completely. And what suffers is our sex life.
Yeah.
Is our sex life. Or we shut our sex life down and then our creative life shuts down as well. Like, they're so interchangeable.
They go hand in hand. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think if it's like, God, I need to bring more life into this. Yeah. It's like, I need to bring more life into me, and starting there. Right. What do I love? Like, if I've got to cook dinner and I'm like, oh gosh, I have many children, I have a busy life. I'll go into my bedroom, I'll put on some beautiful lingerie and put my clothes on over the top, right? Yeah. And then I'll put some music on and I'll cook. And the dinner is so much better, because I'm like, I'm feeling beautiful, I'm feeling creative, I'm in that mood, the music is inspiring me, and it's so much nicer. Yeah. And so tapping into both energies to support both energies is super powerful.
Super powerful. I love that. Also just want to quickly touch on some common misconceptions that you hear about sex.
Oh,
anything that we can.
So many common misconceptions. We've touched on a few, like women can't orgasm, or that's a myth, or you need to go straight for the clitoris when you're going down on a woman. Like the clitoris has actually got twice the nerve endings as the head of the male penis.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want you to go down and grab it.
No.
Edging is a tantric technique whereby you go everywhere but the bit she wants, or but the bit he wants.
Yeah.
And it's a deeply powerful, subtle, energetic awakening.
Oh, completely.
So I would say that's a key thing.
Yeah.
Another misconception about sex, that it has to have friction. I really suggest and encourage couples for him to either enter her soft.
Yes.
Or
slow down. My like 2 key words that I've been saying my whole life is be more gentle and slow the fuck down.
Actually, I have something quite epic to speak to about that. I have I was working with a client who was like, I'm quite numb, I want to feel more. And I was like, okay, so, tomorrow night, whenever you're with your woman, I'd love you to just enter her and hold it.
Yeah.
And then when you're ready, deep, slow, sustained penetration, like super, I want you to feel it and drop your focus right to the perineum, the part like kind of just between your testicles and your anus, and also at the head of your cock, just sort of alternating between that space, not having sex with her from your butt, like a lot of men push from their butt. Instead of that, dropping it down to like the base of your cock and head of your cock and really driving from there. And he's like, oh look, it's just not going to do it for me, but look, I'll give it a go. And I was like, okay, we'll give this a go. And he called me the next day really angry, and I thought, oh no. And he said, I felt too much. It was too much. I just exploded. And I said, what? And he said to me, I was doing it to her faster and harder in the past, right? I had been doing it hard and fast in an effort to cover up, in an effort to not feel.
Wow.
And it was the opposite of what I thought. And then I became more and more numb, and then I had to call you and had to come and have this service, have this chat. And then when I just stopped and felt, I realized I was just so afraid to feel.
Wow.
And he's just like this like beautiful like African American like sports player. He's just this amazing like strong like man, and he was like, I literally was a 15-year-old and just like ejaculated like this. Wow. And I love that. So misconception is that sex has to be friction, forward back, like. I teach men fast. I teach men how to masturbate. I teach men how to touch themselves softly and slowly and with variation. I teach women how to honor the lingam or the cock without wanting something from it. And about how to softly enter a woman when he's soft. And that takes a bit more practice, a bit more slowing down, but it's very healing for a man who has felt like he has to perform his whole life.
For sure. Yeah.
So there's some misconceptions. Many more.
I know. Wow. All right. And one last thing, shame around sex. So for people who are just like really uncomfortable to talk about sex with anyone and even with their partners, how can they gain more? Because like all this talk is, you just need to go into your body and feel into your body and find someone who you can be vulnerable with, because a lot of this is about vulnerability and surrender. And what if someone is has so much shame and fear built around letting go and having an orgasm and fully opening up to someone? Where can they start?
I love that question, and I want to thank you for bringing my attention to that, because you're speaking to the experience of so many. And I find that it's all very well to be like, oh, how do you hold on to your orgasm, not come? And I was like, how do you even just say how do you even know what you want? How do you even drop into your body? What does that even look like?
There's some women who don't even know if they've ever had an orgasm in their life. And they're old. So
Yeah, completely. Orgasms from penetration alone, like the cervical orgasm I'm talking about, all of this stuff.
Yeah.
They say it's less than 30% of women ever. And that's like World Health Organization kind of like big studies to say. And I know for me that it wasn't always this deeply orgasmic way.
Yeah.
There were huge periods in my life where I had shut down other aspects of myself and then was facing the same literally in bed.
Yes, me too. It was almost
Right?
like a numbness though as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just didn't really feel
It
feel
wasn't good, it wasn't bad, but it was just nothing, right?
exactly.
And so I want to do a shout out. I feel you and I see you, all you women and men who feel that and who feel at a loss in this increasingly awakened sexual culture. We're sort of having the second, another wave of sexual freedom, sexual expression.
Yeah.
It's looking like something different than it did in, say, the 60s or the 70s with free love movement and influence of contraception and stuff. It's got this sort of spiritual neo-tantra vibe, which is adding so much, but can also alienate so many who go, that's just not my experience and I'm stuck. So first of all, you're seen and you're felt and you're heard, and people like Arel, people like me, I don't know, reach out. This is my work. But start, like, if that even feels like too much, start by reading, start by dancing, start by committing to yourself that you'd like to know more. Realize that that's missing. That's really step one, because once we do that, I don't know, put out that sort of intention, the universe or whatever surrounds us, like we're likely to meet someone who's got a little bit more of the pieces of the puzzle. And like, and they sort of push us on to read that book.
Right.
And then 6 months later, we've read all those books and we're doing a dance class a week, which is all about like dancing eros or like getting into our body. And we go, whoa, it came from that like seed that I laid in myself to know more, to want to know more. And things like putting on music and just moving your body, especially for people for women, people in female bodies, it's hugely beneficial for men. I've just read some stuff recently about how women, we tempt to speak it out. Oh, I know, we'll talk it. And it's really not as successful as moving it through the body, opening that channel between you and the divine, you and source, where the mind gets to rest and you literally get to feel what's going on. Door shut in your room. I'm talking, this doesn't have to be some kind of public display of anything, but just dropping into your body, getting to know how you work, watching how you feed yourself, watching how you look after yourself, watching how you numb yourself. Keeping away from porn and fantasy if it's creating strange expectations for you. Being honest. Like I go back to my first point, being honest.
So true.
I'd say that.
I'd say as well, things that you can do is basically, before you're going to open up and have a vulnerable relationship with someone else, is starting with the relationship you have with yourself.
Love it.
So really, taking an honest look at yourself, and as you said, realizing how you're treating your body, and are you taking care of your body? Are you loving your body? And things to do to start in that direction is looking after yourself, feeding yourself the right foods, definitely dancing. I agree 100%. Like, I think
it sounds out there, right?
dancing music is so powerful, and like, I know it can be so embarrassing for so many people, but even if it's just when you're home alone or in your room, and gaining that confidence to express yourself, even just with yourself. Like, I remember I used to be so insecure and shy that even when I was alone by myself, like miles away from anyone, I was still like embarrassed with myself to to allow myself to express myself, whether that was like dance and moving my body in a certain way, or talking to myself in a certain, like even just talking to myself and being honest with myself. I was like, wow, this is embarrassing to myself.
Wow. Yeah, getting okay with you.
Yeah.
How can you let someone into you, or how can you enter someone if you aren't even in your center?
Yes.
If you don't even feel comfortable with you.
Yeah.
I have something else to like add to that, if that's okay.
Go for it.
I tell people who I work with as well, there's this 4-center check-in that is really, really powerful. And it's a good way for you to, I mean, not just with relating sexually, this can be with like, should I accept this job offer? This should be like, is this what I feel like for dinner? This is like, should I actually go out tonight or stay? It can be literally every decision you make.
Right.
And it starts and it drops you back into your body, because it's focused on these 4 centers within the body. You're able to sort of forced into tuning in. And it starts with the sex center. So dropping in to the sex center and being like, do I desire this? And this is increasing our genital consciousness, because our genitals are so much wiser than we ever give them credit for. It sounds like quite a bizarre thing to do in sort of Western culture, especially the culture I've grown up in, like what, to ask them what? But they are deeply intellectual, deeply intelligent organs. In particular, this is one here. So our bodies speak. Our bodies speak to us. Our bodies speak to other bodies. Yes. You know, you kiss your baby as a breastfeeding mother, and any bugs you pick up on your baby's cheek or lips or mouth, your body immediately starts creating the medicine for, in the form of antibodies, calling on the exact ones that that baby has experienced that day. And so when you feed her next, she will get like medicine exactly for that moment. Yeah. So that's another example of how our bodies are in tune with each other and going for the success and for the survival of each other. So the genitals tuning in, is this what I desire? Like it can be like, yes, I want this pleasure. Or it could be like, oh, something is stopping me there. Yeah. Moving up to the gut, like our intuitive sense, our stomach, kind of like around our solar plexus, this sort of area here. Or intuitively, is this right? It's like, oh, I'm going to regret this. I know it. Or yeah, this is a place I want to go to, right? Depending on what it speaks to you. Yeah. Moving it up to your heart. This is the third point. What does my heart say? Our hearts are so intelligent. Again, studies show that when people are shown a series of images, this is actually really buzzy, really, really amazing. I watched this documentary the other day where people were shown a series of images that would just flash up on the screen. And before the distressing images were even shown, the people's heart rates would expect them. Wow. And when it was a soft, beautiful image, the heart didn't respond with the same heightened kind of fear response. Yeah. That's a show on Gaia about the heart. The Gaia is like the documentary and kind of like wellness Netflix. So check that out. Yeah. And lastly, taking it to the mind, taking it up to the head. Is this a good idea? Mind, logic. You've supported me. You've helped me make smart calls. Is this a good idea? And each of those centers will give you an answer. And that's a great way to start practicing dropping into your body for all sorts of things, sexually related.
What if they're not agreeing with each other? So what if your genitals are saying one thing and your head's saying another thing?
Girl, you are so right. And this is so, you weigh it up. You go, all right, you know what? Genitals, we're going to go do it. We're going to have a good time. Exactly. Because the other centers aren't like, it's not a hard no from anyone else. Right. So it feels okay. Or it could be like, oh my gosh, this is a pattern. Like you're able to see patterns of relating. I always do this. I always bypass my heart, go for what my genitals want. And then I'm sad and then I'm lonely and I'm depressed. I'm not listening to myself. Like it's a great exercise in self-inquiry.
I love that. Especially the heart one, I think is so important. And the gut as well. The gut is like so powerful and so many emotions we hold in our gut.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally.
Well, really all organs, when you think about it, like we hold so much stress and trauma in our brains and our hearts and our gut and our genitals.
You are so right. You know, the hips are like the emotional storehouse of the body, according to yogic theory.
Right.
And so our culture has this epidemic of hip replacements at like age 40 or 50 or 60.
Yeah.
And it's just absolutely unparalleled in cultures where emotion is expressed differently. And so there's studies being done now showing how when we process emotions, we actually save ourselves from physical afflictions later on.
Wow.
Interesting.
No, I totally believe that as well. Certain emotions can trigger different areas in our body to fail or, you know, start to weaken.
Yeah, it's all energy, right? And so if we're not dealing with it, our heart is going to look at it, go, oh, our mind is going to try and sort it out because no one's sure what to do. And then it's just going to clump in an energetic space. Like even people that carry weight around the stomach area, some say, some sort of like traditional theories are that this is like a form of protection.
Yes.
A form of keeping the body safe subconsciously.
So
a form of not really seeing, like not really wanting to be seen. And so the body will literally put the weight in this area. So yeah, heaps of interesting stuff to look at.
Well, it's not only weight, you know, it's then we'll store cancer cells, and that's when, you know, disease starts.
There you go.
Tumors in areas of our bodies. Yeah.
Yeah, so interesting.
Not releasing that energy, that that pain,
and
that fear.
Taking it back to sex, like in the right, open, honest, trusting, supportive way, sex is literally a portal or a method for this release. Like that's why we orgasm.
It's like meditation, right? Another form of meditation. Yeah.
It really is. These bodies are to be loved and danced in and touched and felt and experienced and spoken up for, you know, like and learned to put in boundaries. They're to be lived in.
Yeah. I just want to say one thing as well, though. I don't want people to confuse that with, I like how you said junk food sex before, and then there's gourmet sex. So it's, you know, don't mistake that as, oh, I need to ejaculate and watch porn and jerk off, or I need to find someone to sleep with tonight because that's my form of meditation. It's not quite the same thing.
Totally. Yeah. It's no, absolutely. But you know, speaking to those who are, it's knowing yourself. If you're sitting right now listening going, I'm one of those who are too scared, like that's a really empowering thing for you to take away from this conversation. Like, okay, you know, I'm going to step into my sovereignty. I'm going to step into my autonomy. I'm going to step into this body and own it and look after it and share it if I feel it. Yeah. And then on the other end of it, it's like, oh gosh, I've been doing this far too much that I've lost even who I am. I'm actually going to start reclaiming this. I'm going to start listening to whether or not it's a good idea to have the sex, to watch this porn, to jerk off again. And so again, knowing yourself, where are you on that spectrum? Because it's a wide line. it's a big one.
Yeah, totally. All right. I think that's a wrap. Is there anything else that I didn't cover that you want to mention?
Well, we've gone some places around. I think we're good. No way. I think it's ending on that piece of consent, that piece of remembering your sovereign being, taking the power back, no matter what's happened to you, no matter what you're scared of, knowing that this moment is yours, and it looks like however you want it to look like. I think it's a really powerful place to end. Yeah.
I think so too. And honesty and communication, back to where we started as well. So important.
There you go, girl. That's it.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yay. Thanks, Aral. Bye.
Bye.